First of all, I thank the governance now to actually organize a virtual CISO summit. I think it is new for every one of us, and it is going to be a long journey while we will connect to each other virtually. We are all working towards learning this new stuff, but I think the experience of having this virtual summit is very good. I think it is much more productive. So I welcome you all in behalf of Governance Now. Today, I think the topic which has been chosen is also very interesting. It is regarding the cyber security in public sector, right? Now, I've been a vendor, I've been in the vendors industry for long, right? And when vendor look at the cyber security, they also have a view of cyber security in range of verticals, right? So we have private sectors, we have public sectors, we also have government, right? And the way cyber security has been adopted across is very different in those industries. I actually would like to start with maybe in the order the name has been given. Most of the people here are from the oil and gas background, right? So maybe Mr. Narayanan, can I start with you till Rahul joins back?
Sure.
So we've gone through all these changes, right? And you've been in the industry for so long. You would have seen the entire IT progress as well as the incursion of cybersecurity as a part of IT, right? So can you provide your view of how cybersecurity has worked along with your industry, specifically to oil and gas, and how you are, as your organization, have taken it forward?
Thank you. First of all, am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you, specifically the panelists and the anchor moderator. It's a good opportune time to discuss security in particular in terms of, in this difficult time. Oil industry has been very progressive over the past decades. If you see the oil industry in India, we were one of the what you call progressive industries in the country who have adopted computerization long time back before other industries adopted it. So as such, computerization as an option was well known and well practiced in this industry for a very long time. Then came a couple of decades before the ERP era. When ERP era came, it brought a shift in the way things happened. It also talked about, because you have a good connectivity linking the various locations, linking the centralized system, and therefore you need to obviously bother about the improved communication and the security aspects. It was phase 2 in terms of improving. During this past 2 decades, you had emails coming in, and there are other means of vertical collaboration which came in, and therefore they in fact helped us in terms of strengthening the IT value. Then from the ERP era, we are now stepping into the digital era. A long way to go in terms of digital era, and the demands of the digital era is going to be obviously different. This is one side in terms of how the IT adoption or the digital adoption is happening in the oil and gas industry.
Hello.
At the same time, oil and gas industry by nature is a risk-averse industry. Unlike the other industries, is a risk-averse industry. So therefore, when it comes to security and safety, whether in the physical world or the digital world, oil industry has been relatively conservative. It's not as dynamic as in the case of retail, for example. Even to the extent of banking, I would say. Therefore, we have a different set of orientation to the oil and gas industry, looking at security in person, in specific, especially IT security. Now, oil and gas is also getting into very deeply into a focused manner into the digital era, and therefore security is going to be very, very important. And we are guided by various agencies in the government, like certain NCIs, APC, and other agencies. And one other good thing in oil and gas industry is, whether it's private or public, I think we have got a very good, what you call, understanding working together. The oil marketing companies, they are as one good team of, let's say, Government of India. And though we compete in the market, but when it comes to good practices, when it comes to things of common interest, whether it's Indian Oil or Bharat Petroleum or Hindustan Petroleum or ONGC for the matter, we come together, we come together and we share our experiences, our practices, and our concepts. That's one good thing that happens in this industry. And therefore, for the session to begin with, this is the legacy of IT and security in oil and gas industry.
Thank you so much, sir, for providing that view. Rahul, have you joined?
Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me, Atul?
Rahul has joined.
I have a problem with my video.
Yeah. So thanks, Atul, for taking this up. For last 1 hour, I was there on this, but my camera was not getting. I was on, but I was as a participant, not as a moderator. So now I'm able to join. So thankfully, so good. So thanks for taking this up again. Let me initiate this. So first of all, thank you everyone for joining in. I know that this type of crisis no one has seen before. This is once in our lifetime, and this is the best time to share our knowledge. And we need to learn from each other. And I thank Governance Now for scheduling this up. So now from a contactless where we need to maintain social distance, there is an important role which everyone is playing, specifically the utilities in the public sector, because they are the one who's ensuring the lights are always on. So as we heard sir talking about it from what they are doing, but if we look at some of the sectors from yeah. So Pragya, can you just check why the video is not on?
I am just checking. Just allow me 2 minutes. I am just sorting out. You can continue meanwhile.
Okay, thanks. So thanks for that. So now if you look at so we have a panel member which was very senior, Mr. PK Agarwal. Sir is the director from POSCO, and he's the one responsible to ensure the literal meaning of light is on. We have the energy sector participants, very senior people from the industry who's ensuring that we have the LPG coming to us. We have the petroleum industry supporting us, so they are available. And for that, I welcome Mr. Narayanan, who's the executive director from BPCL. I welcome Mr. Rajiv Chandra, who's the executive director from HPCL. I welcome Mr. N. Brahman from ONGC, he's a senior group general manager, and I welcome Dr. Yask, who's the CISO from Indian Oil. Apart from petroleum and the energy sector, critical lifeline for the country, critical sector is our railways. And from railways, we have Mr. Vijay Devnath, who's the general manager from CRIS. He's the one responsible to ensure, and now we heard yesterday the trains are still running, and then I think, if I'm not wrong, from next Monday, and I will request her to throw some light that in terms of what we have done. Sorry. Okay, so apart from it, we have industry representations. Hello. Okay, apart from that, we have industry representation coming in, which will Mr. Atul, who will be sharing his knowledge. So just to set the context, we only have 1 hour and we have spent 2-3 minutes in terms of sorting out the technical issues. I was trying to see, we should not get into it, but that's how the technology is. But now, from setting the context perspective, we will spend 40-45 minutes in terms of hearing the views, experience. And when I say view, experience, I want to capture one is this an opportunity for us to do the transformation? When it's a transformation, how we can leverage the technology. Earlier, there was a mindset issue that everyone need to be in office, we can do remotely, but last 60 days, we have seen that everything is working. People are anywhere in country, but still we are able to run the services. So how can we do that transformation, and that's mindshare, and the behavioral change. So that's one part. I thought maybe everyone is talking about that this is all lockdown, but yes, services are running, and how we can take that opportunity. And if we are taking this opportunity, what are the challenges we see and how we have addressed that? So if I just can spend 2 minutes in terms of the technology. So what we have seen is, now earlier everyone was in office, now they're working remotely. When they're working remotely, we have a borderless office. When I say borderless office, that means there is no limitation. And when we have a borderless office, it is very, very important to take care of security. Now, because we are dealing with the critical infrastructure, we will have PII coming in, we will have, in some sectors, we will have PHI coming in. How we protect all that for personal health information and personal information. So in order to do that, may I request Mr. Rajiv from HPCL to spend 3 to 5 minutes in terms of talking about that last 60 days, what are the technology changes they have seen, and what were the opportunities they believe we have, and also cover the security part of it from a long-term perspective. Sir, I request you to share your experience, sir.
Thanks, Rahul. So, Mr. Narayana had already set the sort of context of oil industry, how we have actually been sort of ahead of the curve as far as IS is concerned, and also the security. Now, the challenges during the COVID era have been multifold. One, because we have been traditionally sort of very security conscious, a lot of our systems were not open enough to be sort of immediately allowed to work from home. Simple things like our ERP access was available on the internet only to a limited extent. Other functionalities also were like that. In some ways, what happened is, since India was not the first one to be affected by COVID, we got an advance notice, so we had that 2-3 weeks of preparation time before the lockdown was declared. So in the meantime, we could actually put in place two-factor authentication, etc., which allowed people to sort of access the critical IS resources. Even the administration of the data center or the networks, etc., we could actually sort of make it available, and everyone could work from home. So these were the challenges that we sort of immediately could identify and act in advance. I think if we had not been able to act if we had delayed it even by a week, post lockdown, handling all these things would have been that much more difficult. Okay. Now, coming to how the business has changed, and just to give you a context, not really it's cybersecurity, but in petroleum industry, in a refinery, we have a typical challenge. Let's say I'm buying a crude. Now, from the same crude, I get petrol, diesel, and LPG. My petrol, diesel demand, LPG demand has increased by 25%. Now, these are the kind of challenges, and they happen while IT may not be immediately impacted, but the amount of pressure everyone is going through means that the pressure to facilitate each and every action becomes that much more. So when we talk of enabling VCs, typically VCs were sort of the secretary will set up the VC and people will do VC. Suddenly, the senior most people have to set up the VC on their own, including VCs with the minister, with the PMO, industry peers, etc., etc. These are things, and then the security around that. Suddenly there was a wave of people using Zoom. Then Zoom gave them certain kind of experience, while security challenges came in. Now to get the same out of a traditional VC network with the 20, 30, 40 people logging into that was not so easy. So immediately increasing the corporate VC. These were the challenges that we faced. And I'm sure a lot more people in the industry would have faced similar challenges.
Video is not video.
So thanks, sir. Pragya, can you mute others because there's a lot of background noise which is coming up. People are not able to hear properly. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, because yeah, Pragya.
So we have all the speakers in the panel, even if they are not visible. I'm just figuring out what is the technical issue that has that we are not able to see them. So we have Mr. N. Raman also from ONGC. So we might have to switch off few cameras and it will keep fluttering. Okay.
No worries,
so if you have few minutes.
What is the advice, ma'am? What is the advice? I'm Ryan Raman. Good morning. What's the advice for me?
Yes, sir. You are very much there on the panel.
Sir, Raman sir, you are audible. Yeah, Raman sir, you are audible. I can see you. The only piece is the frame only allows 6 people, so the other two cameras are not coming. Video is not coming. That's fine. So that's okay. Yeah, that's fine.
So it will keep coming. Don't worry on that part.
Yeah, don't worry. So yeah, Pragya, but the audio because yeah, so when Rajiv sir was sharing his experience, there was background noise, so I thought maybe
I will mute everyone when one speaker is speaking. You can unmute yourself. It is very much there with you, the control. Okay.
Please, thank you.
I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
sir,
Raman
yes.
sir, you are audible. You are audible. Okay, so thanks. Because the frame only allows 6 videos, that's the reason we have. But all of us are in the panel. Thank you. So if I go to Dr. Yash, Dr. Yash, if you can share your experience, how at Indian Oil, what are if you can share some insights, saying these are some of the initiatives, some of the steps you have taken, both from a technology and security perspective, a specific example, so that which you believe if other replicate, that will help. So maybe if you can share your experience, 4 to 5 minutes.
Right. Thank you, Rahul, and good afternoon to all the other panelists. I think the biggest thing that we have seen in this particular scenario is that any epidemic or pandemic, for that matter, requires a premeditated and a predetermined response. Generally, this is how a pandemic is responded to. Unfortunately, none of the organizations across the globe would have been as prepared as they would have wanted for a pandemic situation. The very nature of pandemic is such that it happens in such huge gaps. That is point number one. So essentially, what has happened is that we are actually seeing a day zero attack. In true sense, whether it is a cyber attack or any other attack, this is a true day zero what we are witnessing. How we are responding to it is something that we have to see. We talk about global oil and gas organization, for that matter, any organization which has a mix of IT and OT. Now, the challenges with IT and OT are different. Any security for that you have or that you plan has to be objective based. But when you have a mix of both IT and OT, the objectives are different totally. Therefore, the security has to be a mix of both these things. On top of this IT and OT, then you have organizations which are CII. For example, in our country, NCIPC is the organization which does that, goes and identifies and categorizes an industry to be as part of CII. Therefore, there is far more strategical requirement of security in those organizations. And finally, on top of all of this, you have these statutory compliances. Now, why I'm saying statutory compliance is being an important thing, you have these the likes of these GDPRs and personal data protection. So organization like the ones that we are talking about would be storing a lot of data of the customer. So not only is the security required for the IT operations, OT operations, CII, and the data that is being stored. Now, the problem in this pandemic, what happened was the technology was there in place. Unfortunately, none of the human resource was able to go and operate on that. Generally, when an organization plans for a BCP or for that matter, any continuity plan, the primary thing in the planning is that the technology would not be available. We always plan in a certain manner that one of the primary center would not be available, so we shift to the disaster recovery, so on and so forth. However, this was a very unique situation in which everything was in place, However, the people who had to go and operate on them were not able to reach. Therefore, the need was the technology had to be extended to the home. I think this is not just the challenge with one organization across the globe. Nobody was actually prepared to have as many number of people working from home as they were now forced to do. This was kind of a forced situation. Then the moment you talk about working from home, I am not talking about OT here because OT involves a lot of CPS, the cyber physical system. So therefore, there is a certain requirement for people to be there. I'm talking about pure IT. When you enable a work from home, whether it's a forced enablement or a planned one, a lot of organizations, especially the ones which are in the IT and software, would have done that. They would have already had 25% or 30% of the staff working work from home. But talking about organizations which were predominantly having workforce working from office, this came as a forced thing. So the first challenge was to enable the infrastructure to accommodate that many number of people. Whether it is a technological challenge, I have certain number of licenses, I have to increase that, or software or application challenges, what kind of applications to be allowed. We saw a lot of information floating that Zooms are not allowed. Somebody came and said that Cisco WebEx has also certain vulnerabilities, and any organization for that matter had to make the employees also aware about all these things. That was one. Two, the bigger thing that we I think across the globe a lot of organizations are not looking at are the data privacy challenges. Now all of us are data fiduciary in a manner where we keep the sensitive data of a lot of our customers and employees. Now when this work from home is being done, the technology and the extension is being done of the office, a lot of data is now floating or shuttling between the home PCs and the office environment. So this is just one aspect that I'm bringing out. And another aspect that I think became a challenge was misinformation, especially in this scenario. We have, as I gave you the example of this Zoom, somebody came up with this advisory. So many advisories were floating across. Somebody said that Zoom is not to be used. Somebody said that Teams is not to be used. Somebody said that WebEx is not to be used. Now, when you have so much of information floating in, and then you have to take a decision and come out with a particular guideline or a requirement, that becomes also one of the challenges. So what my couple of points is that what we have seen is how we were not prepared for a pandemic situation, how BCPs and disaster recovery plans did not have the aspect of people not being able to reach and technology being in place everywhere, how to control the information. I think what we did in the last 45-60 days, not just we, I think everybody was trying to figure out how to deal with all these things. So these are the couple of things that I think were important in the last, and I have not touched on the OT part because that's a totally different area where security takes a different meaning altogether. That is one aspect which probably we'll take out some other time.
Yeah, no, thanks. I think this was useful, Dr. Yash. From a privacy, I think you touch upon misinformation. I think that's a bigger challenge which everyone is facing, and I think if you see our law enforcement, the bigger challenge is how they manage the fake news which is floating around. So that's one. Thank you for that. And now, if may I request Mr. Raman sir to throw some light from a OT perspective, because Dr. Yash talked about the IT part of it, and the biggest challenge was to handle the human resources which is spread out. From a OT perspective, the plant has to run, right? So if and we have SCADA systems and OT systems. So what were the challenges? Now can we are able to do it remotely, or we need physical people, and how we are able to manage this? So sir, if you can share your experience.
Good afternoon, Raman this side from ONGC. ONGC is an upstream industry where our operations are spread out. Majority of the challenges have been already spoken by my colleagues from petroleum industry, who are primarily from refining. But what stands ONGC, how it stands apart is, the remoteness of operations. Our installations were very far away. Some of them are deep inside the Thar Desert and all that. So those and plus offshore and stuff like that. So those OT systems already we had to man them, because they could not be linked to this particular aspect of work from home, because our oil soldiers remained there for 45-50 days continuously and operated them. So that was a challenge, and if this continues, then it will be a challenge. So we are just looking for this thing, that how to meet where the whatever restrictions are posed by certain and NCIPC regarding this security, and how that can be met those standards of security, which are basically the standards set by the for CII. They can be met with work from home. So that this is a big challenge we are facing, and not only one front, but is our installations, and other is what we handle is geophysical processing. We do it GNG data, what we call it, geological and geophysical data. So those processing centers are also there. We had a request, we have a requisition from there. Those people are also. But the one particular challenge which particularly we are facing is all along whatever policy and directives what we have churned it out for ourselves. They are basically centered around the aspect that these are very secured and sort of crown jewel kind of information. And suddenly opening up then this not only from law enforcement side, as well as from our own internal, the way it has been all along perceived. So those things are we are facing challenge, and we are trying to address them. And because so far and so on and so forth, we have all this infrastructure was behind the internet, and even air gap with the internet, so the life was going on fine. So and people were able to go to installation, so there was nowhere this challenge was faced. And now once this is the kind of a thing, this is this particular possibility which has been posed by the pandemic of COVID nature. Majority of the challenges are, I agree with Mr. Doctor, yes, where the remote management and that of data centers and all that was a challenge. So we had to anyhow man them with minimum manpower to monitor them. And then the pandemic kind of a thing has to be kept in mind. And nevertheless, ONGC rose to the challenge, and whatever, at least for day-to-day administrative operations, whatever has to be carried, that those things were taken to home. And our certain one Disha one application is there, which is basically business process automation, which is there. And SAP, these are the two things which were extended to homes for a limited, of course, limited by licenses and VPN connectivity and stuff like that. But if it happens in a big way, then this challenge will be faced a bit more. And VPN had some challenges, and as doctor also put, that there were so many things were going on. Somebody was telling Zoom is not good, and somebody WebEx and some for Microsoft Teams and other thing. But still, we had then settled down for some safe application which we didn't have any license or solutions. Then finally to VDI, where virtual desktop was the thing which was basically chosen. So is to give. But one challenge which faces that, these when we work from home, what we personally as ONGC see so as in ONGC, that the whatever devices are there and the routers are there in the home, they are the most insecure kind of a device which we can have in the total chain of things. From particularly we're viewing from them from the angle of the way they are that at the kind of security which we enforce back in office. So from that angle, if you see, everything is the Wi-Fi routers which we have at home, and those things are so those how to improve those technology. We had to only go to enlighten and create user awareness about all these things. So we had run a lot of user awareness and send messages and all those things, so that user adopt certain level of minimum security as per when operating their own devices. So those, and then we have to meet this challenge. The future days we are thinking of mobile containerization and stuff like that, so that if they operate from mobile, at least certain level of separations are maintained right there, and traceability is there, and remotely it can be deleted also in case of any theft or something like that. Those things are their challenge. But these are all the darker side of what we have pandemic we have narrating. But the others, the brighter side, which is that in this period only the IT industry and the IT security industry has come to limelight in the true sense. The people who are in the back end the operations, they have never felt that they even exist, because they start feeling that they exist, that's their defeat. we make their life so comfortable that they don't even feel that we exist. So that's our pressure. So, but nevertheless, this pandemic again made them brought them us to us, and we had something to be raised to the level. And we are very happy that not only in the public sector and across all the IT sector, the IT services people and all our industry and PSU, they have rose to the occasion, and the thing was very quickly we adjusted ourselves, and the work from home was made a reality. So that this particular thing are there, but it has given a lot of learning experiences, and this whatever is there, the way it suddenly come up, of course it was happening for quite some time, but still it did not give that much of time to completely prepare in a big way about it. But hereafter, when it opens up, probably we will be looking forward to preparing it for further things. This particular thing, possibility one certain in the management, which was basically bogged down with the coming to office kind of a thing. From that, when it comes to that, people can work from anywhere. Then even consolidating the workforces of HR or finance or stores kind of a thing, that can also happen. They need not be there around the particular places. So those, and consolidating resources, consolidating building requirements, whether people have to be there in the buildings or not. So those are the possibilities which are opened up, the vistas which are opened up by this. And the main challenge is, as my co-panelists have put, is around the CII. Basically, the CII, we have the certain kind of a castle kind of thing we have built up. So those, if those things are there, when we suppose think about opening up also, those all the kind of things are coming, and rightly so, of course. They are national. We are handling with the national critical infrastructure and property. So those have to be thought about. But at the same time, there is any global best practices are there. So we, as a challenge, industry can get together and look forward for some sort of the cohesiveness. In that, where the security and the demands are basically the demands of the situations are balanced. So
Sure.
basically the challenges from the CII, the critical infrastructure only. Otherwise, all the other industries are available all across for all the people. So main challenges are from that side only. So the an opportunity is a challenge as well as an opportunity. That's what I would say. And how the industries and service providers and solutions provider will definitely help us in all these things in the days to come. Thank you.
Sure. No, thank you, sir. Thank you. I think you touched very rightly in terms of that the components which we have at a end user house, which is the router, Wi-Fi, or the end machines, they are the most vulnerable as of now, apart from the critical infrastructure or the SCADA system we have in our system.
Entire value chain. In the entire value chain, that's weekly.
Yes, the entire value chain. Thanks for that, sir. That's quite insightful. And if I go to now railways, because that's the critical one, and they ensure the tickets are available now. Obviously, sir will throw some light in terms of how they are handling the situation. And if Mr. Vijay Devnath, if I can request you to touch upon that, what are the technology transformation which you believe was like a back burner earlier? Now they are coming up from either a e-office collaboration. Earlier the thought was everyone need to be there in front of you or machines. So how that is changing, because I'm sure now the CFO and the finance division is talking about let's get the e-office done, HRMS done. So that's one part of it. And when we start doing this, how we are addressing the security on top of it, because it will be a different layer altogether. Obviously, some of those solutions were all deployed at data center, but how you are addressing this and what are the things you are saying? Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. I think, it's past 12. Good afternoon to all panelists, senior panelists, and all the participants. As you know, that railways business is a physical business. It's a customer facing, and the customer is all over India and even sometimes abroad. So, and IT is always taken as a support function. So I can never claim that we are, at the forefront of customer service. We were only, enabling the railways to send tickets, all types of tickets, enabling the passengers to board in the proper manner, proper places, etc. Now, given the background that the business is supreme for me and IT is a support function, information security is support of the support function. I take it that way. So my role is to support the IT people, and the IT people are there to support the physical business. That is the chain we follow. And next important point is the age-old concept of CIA, what we call the confidentiality, integrity, and availability, is just reversed in case of railways, at least. They want the availability first, then maybe some integrity also should be there, but real time is more important. And then confidentiality is maybe there, may not be there, because most of our data is anyway public data. Coming to the current crisis, as you could have guessed, our IT transformation is all dependent upon how much the business wants to become IT enabled. So naturally, it was a physical business, so it was not much of a work from home. While CRIS itself and most of the IT units, they could go to work from home. Most of our railway systems, the maintenance depots, the actual users of our IT can never go to work from home. They have to work in the workshops and in the associated offices. So we have to enable them to do that work somehow. Sometimes it was possible, sometimes it was not. Few things which came to our, to fore because of this crisis was that our PPT is not ready. PPT meaning not the PowerPoint, is the person, people process technology. Technologies are there and they can be provided by the vendors at very short notices, but neither our processes and neither our people are ready to accept those dynamic technologies. I will not go into those video conferencing solutions and their problems and all that, because many of our senior HR, I will say, are not ready or not even savvy to use those solutions. So naturally, that's why the government imposed that rule of
ये आपने गूगल ड्राइव पे शेयर किया ना,
गूगल
ड्राइव पे तो परमिशन चाहिए,
offices and all that. So I mean, our PP is not ready. Technology may be ready, and a good thing which may come out of this crisis is, as we know, this crisis is going to, I mean, lead to a new normal.
भी आ जाता है हमारे पास तो 30-40 MB तक का फाइल तो ले लेते हैं.
I mean, somebody is.
Can I request you to mute because I'm not able to do it because there's a lot of background.
Shall I continue? Yeah. So one maybe I can say a better thing will come out. It may not be a good thing, but it may be a better thing which will come out of this crisis being a long one. Is that as Rahul mentioned, that the government projects of IT, that is e-enablement of files and e-filing, e-office, etc. will get the crisis comes back to normal very soon. The projects may go to cold storage again, because the people, the most important part, our senior people are not very comfortable with this work from home technology for obvious reasons, you know. So then coming to the technology part, what we have made enabled in this period more so, they were enabled earlier also, but more so, is that the visibility across the network from end to end has been increased, with even the home IPs and MAC addresses being logged for vigilance and forensic purposes. And the remediation, remote remediation has taken place in a big way. which we were not doing earlier. Only on the Sundays and Saturdays sometimes we did, but now we started doing it very regularly. So that was a welcome change in our people, I will say, and of course the processes. Going forward, I will say that our policy makers have to very seriously look at the people and process part of our systems, because technology is there, technology will keep on changing, and it will keep on upgrading, it will keep on becoming better and better. Lot of new OEMs are coming up with new solutions. They are very good, they are very capable, but the issue of people adopting them and the processes being modified to make them friendly towards procurement, the financing, the optimization, and people willing to get monitored, at home, at every place, should also be enabled through policy, through processes, and the technology will anyway help. We find most of the time we hit a wall when we propose a new solution and the finance and the board starts looking at it from a traditional point of view. इससे क्या होगा, इससे क्या फायदा होगा, कितना ROI आएगा, कितने ज्यादा बिकेंगे. The question is not that because our tickets are not selling, because the trains are not being allowed to run. So, but in the meantime, we can, strengthen our systems. We can invest and we can train our people to become more tech savvy. And that things are not much, working with our counterparts in the accounts, HR, and all that. They are taking it as a temporary phase, and this will also pass. So why do it? फिर अच्छे दिन आएंगे तो we'll be back to our normal working style. It's a slightly depressing thought, but things have to be said that way. Thank you. Rahul, back to you. Rahul missing over.
Sorry, I was on mute and the control is not with me. Sorry about that. Thanks for that. Thanks for sharing the inputs. Because we have another 20 minutes and I'll try to summarize maybe a minute during the close. But I think maybe if we can go to the utilities which Sir is running, Mr. P.K. Agarwal, they are making sure the light is on, right? All of us are able to work because we are getting the electricity at our home. So, sir, if I can request you to share your views, and if you can touch upon, there are two parts which I see. One is the central part where you're doing this, but what are the things which the state utility departments from a generation transmission need to do? Because their IT, OT maturity might be at a very, very low level. They are the one dealing with 60-year-old, 70-year-old user in the remote part of our country, and they're dealing with someone in a metro like you and me. So what are the things you believe, and if you can just sum it up in 5 minutes, that will be useful, sir. Over to you, sir.
So, yeah, thank you, Mr. Rahul. As far as technology is concerned, so for technology, I think we have not faced any challenge. So there are about 38 control rooms which are keeping these lights on. They are keeping all this grid operated 24/7, and out of them 7 belongs to POSOCO, Power System Operation Corporation, which is a system controller, system operator of India, and then others 32 belongs to states. So they are different states. So in our system, we have IT and OT as oil sectors was already stated. We have also have the IT and OT, but that IT and OT, they have isolated system. Isolated means the sharing of data is there in very, very secure way. And For OT, we have dedicated communication lines. And recently, so 4 or 5 years before, we have upgraded all the OTs. All OTs means all control center, 38 control center, including states. All we have upgraded. And we got the new technology, all cyber secure system, and all the best. What are the best practices in OT system, like segmentations of LAN, different LAN, and then data replica server. So as far as this OT is concerned, we did not face any challenge of technical this. And in our working has two types of working. First is the real-time operation, which is required grid. So that real-time operation, which involves SCADA and everything, but they cannot be operated from the home. So they are required to be operated from the control room itself. And the other functions are pre and post dispatch functions. So before real time it is a planning, and then after real time it is a settlement. So these functions are offline function, or they comes under IT. So IT can be operated from remote, and in normal system also they are being used from remote also, because our working is 24/7, and anytime we also require to respond in night also. So people were already working on that remote place. So for control room, we took precautions 4 or 5 days before the lockdown also. And all control, one of more thing, all control rooms have backup control room also. So if anything happens, so just like this NLDC is in New Delhi, National Load Dispatch Center, National Control Room, and there its backup is in Calcutta. So if anything happened to NLDC, it can be operated from Calcutta. And one more thing, then in addition to this, we have also set up a small control room, because in Delhi we have two different load centers, and then we set up a small control room. So one control room can be operated from other control room which is nearby. In Western region, they set up a third control room inside the premises where our all engineers are living. So if anything containment is started in that living, so they can operate from house only. So like this. But because operate means we are only advising. If we are in grid operation, we are not controlling anything from a remote. We are only advising, and all the switching operations is being done at the state level or at the substation level only. There is no remote control here. So like this, we could manage our systems, but for IT and for remote systems, one more thing, we all 38 control center, they are connected with video control systems, VC systems, and that's why we could successfully overcome the incidents which took place, or incidents or the event, a 5th April event, that 9 p.m. event, and that was a very crucial event. That was a very unique event all over world also, and world was looking to India how we manage our grid, and that could be done because of our all control centers are all control centers are connected on VC, and we could plan everything on VC. So as Mr. Rahul was asking, that state load control center there and our control center, they are implemented at the same time and in a unified way. So they have all the technology what we have. Discoms are separate. Discoms they comes under SLDC, and they might not be having so much good technology, but now what situation was before 5 years before, now the situation is better than now. Now everyone is following cybersecurity and upgrading all the technologies. And one more thing, that we have to have many coordination meetings, like operation coordination, commercial coordination, and these are very much required to support our real-time operator. And this meeting we could do on VC. We have given some remote access connections to but very selected employees, so that our post-dispatch functions can be done smoothly. And luckily, we could not see any breach, any cyber attack during this 50 or 55 days. And I think this is my way. But only one more thing this I want to tell is, now we are feeling that we should integrate all the things, just like BC, web meeting, e-office, all they are remote working system. We also implemented e-office, so all our approvals, etc., was going smoothly. Now, what we have felt now, that we should integrate all the systems so that they can talk to each other. So this is from my side. Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. Thank you. I think the pre and the post, and then the piece you mentioned, that there is a backup available and the systems are designed for last 5 years. Then the event which has happened on 9th, switching off the lights because of the IT and the OT systems, we were able to do that. Thanks for that. And sir, if I just, thank you. And if I can just go to Mr. Ramakrishnan, and sir, if I can, just a simple question, if we can have that in this time, what are the monitoring we can do just to see from IT, security, and specifically from a security, what are things you believe the organizations need to do? Because there are applications which are going up, you are opening up the systems for the end user, service providers, for the entire value chain is what coming in. Maybe if you can sum it up, that these are the five or three P's you believe need to be monitored. And then we will go to Atul, and then we have Telestation also.
Yeah, that's true. As far as the monitoring is concerned, today we are talking about, I'll just take a minute before me, not even a minute, less than a minute before, to say that every one of us talking about wonderful productivity in work from home. This wonderful productivity from home is from the productivity that we saw in office. And we record enlarged working times we record in work. So you're comparing that. If work from home is going to be a new normal, the productivity levels are going to be really expected to be more. And therefore people, maybe in the times to come, may regret, why do we prefer work from home rather than we would prefer work from office? You should not be surprised. Okay, now come to this security aspect of it. While we have scaled up in terms of enabling taking care of the security requirements, a couple of things we should see. Most of us, all of us, would have done 24/7 SOC in place. Do we monitor the incoming traffic? Do we monitor, let's say, the access? Which of the critical applications accessed? Okay, what is the trend in accessing the data or the files, stuff like that? So do we pay enough attention to it? Today, security, unlike the other functions of IT, needs to be more preventive. The other function of IT could be deductive, but whereas security needs to be, the success of security is as much as it is preventive. So therefore, while we take some amount of inputs from the detective, the preventive part needs to play a larger role. I think that's very, very important.
Sure. No, thank you. You summed it very well, sir. Thanks for that. That access control, and we need to have monitoring in place for the data and the files coming in, and then we need to create a right balance by having a preventive controls for it. Thank you, sir. So if I go to Mr. Atul now, because from a FireEye perspective, they provide solutions, work across the industry. Atul, maybe in 2 minutes, if you can share. Obviously, we have a very limited time. Sorry for that, but if you can share your experience.
No worries, Rahul. I'll quickly summarize on what our views are. I think all our life has changed, right? And we've all learned the new way of working, which is work from home. If you see, when this pandemic came, it brought certain issues, and everybody have found out a way, a resolution against working around that, right? And we're still in a learning mode in that. However, if you look from an opportunity perspective, we started adopting certain technology. Earlier we never used to give people an access from working from home from their PCs, but then the situations were different. We allowed them to use freewares like Zoom and so on and so forth. And this also provides an opportunity for the cyber criminals or the nation state attackers, right? Now they see this as an opportunity from a longer term perspective. When you look from a cybersecurity perspective, we always know somebody is attacking. But who are these guys attacking us, right? There are motivations behind this attack. We spoke about the critical infrastructures over there. We always understand from a design perspective, the ITs and the OTs are well segregated. I mean, and it has been air gapped. However, in today's conditions, there are some access being still provided to ensure that the functionality is there, because the first goal is to run the services and then look at how do we adopt security to ensure it is being there. When we look back to how the attackers are utilizing this, we saw, and ransomware, if you, I mean, we all know what ransomware is. It's been there for 2 years. It's been going to be there for another few years, right? But the way the attacker are using ransomware, that has completely changed, right? Today, they're not making the systems down. They're coming to the organizations. They're infiltrating the organizations, reaching the critical servers, exploring the data, taking the data out, right? Because today we've opened so many connections to our own users to work in, right? And that again provides an opportunity for this type of an attacker. And when they take the data out, then they encrypt the servers. So no more the endpoints are being encrypted. The servers are now being encrypted. Now, if you think from a station or a nation state attacker perspective, think about India as a country, right? Most of the countries will ship their productions, right, and to India, because again it is because what the infrastructure our country has, the workforce our country has, right? And most of the panelists even spoke about, right, we have a practice of people, we have a practice of process and technology. We've updated, or we are in a process of updating that, right? And we know all this will drive more investments to us, and our country is going to thrive. But this will also open us, right, from a nation state attacker perspective, right? And then their goal is to come in and ensure that the critical infrastructure are being attacked. And we also see that trend from our view, from a global view also. The other thing what I see, which is changing now, is security was always been driven from a compliance angle. There was regulations, there were few compliance being drawn, and because we moved from an IT function to a security function, we used to look at the compliance and drive the security towards it. What we see today, and predominantly in last few days where we've gone through that, everybody has validated their risk. They're not looking at the compliance. First, they're looking at their risk. They're changing their approach towards the security. They're calculating their risk, and now I think the transformation will completely happen from a compliance-based security to a risk-based security, right? Like when we open this new ways of working, when we adopt these new technologies to ensure that the goals are being met, we will also work through the risk being measured against that, and how will we secure those from the risk, right? And then map it maybe back to the compliance to it. Post predominantly, when this will happen, there's a lot of things will happen, like separations of duties, and the other thing which will drive is the compound knowledge which the industry will gain through this, right? So collaboration becomes very critical, industry coming together and sharing their best practices, right? We have an esteemed set of people joining this panel, and everybody is being expert in their own stuff, right? They all touch upon different ways of aspects they have been doing, right? And if this can be brought together, I think it will become much more easier for the industry to fight against the cyber crime as well as the nation state attacker, right? And we've already seen this happening in the industry.
Sure.
So that's my view on this, Rahul.
No. Thanks, Atul. This was useful. Thanks. I think the piece you touched upon was, which I picked up, is more on collaboration, right? So it is everyone gets experience, and we need to all come together from the industry perspective, from the government, public sector, and the society perspective. So thanks for that. And before I conclude this, we will have Mr. Manpreet coming in from Thales, and I think we will have another 4-5 minutes for that particular piece, for that particular presentation. But before the presentation starts, I would like to thank the panel for their inputs. And there are a number of takeaways which I'm taking, that it's not only one component. We need to look at the entire supply chain. When we're looking at supply chain, we're talking about people, process, technology. We need to bring in collaboration. And there's a mind shift which has to happen in terms of using technology to deliver the services. Obviously, in certain areas, someone need to be physically present, as spoken about Mr. Agarwal, in terms of that. For the control center, one need to be present physically. And we have seen railways, it's like a core business, physical business. It's a people business where people need to travel. So thanks everyone for the input.